It took me more time than it should have. I was kind of busy in my college exams and stuff. So, yeah, let's continue with our structural design patterns. So, what are structural design patterns? They are what decides the structure of a code, like how the classes and objects should be organized. They are the building blocks of our code base. Okay, so it just defines a great structure. Like when you are making a chocolate, you get a mold, right? A heart shaped mold or a diamond shaped mold, and you then put hot chocolate in it and freeze it. So it just gives chocolate a structure. It organizes a chocolate, it makes it feasible to eat it, right? So same with the structural or design pattern. So first structural design pattern is adapter pattern. The name suggests what does it mean. Okay. uh, the example is the easiest, the most common example, like the name only tells this example, is that we live in India, so we have a different type of switch, right? And when you go abroad, America, European country, any, you will find another type of switch, and your charger will not be compatible with that switch. So you travel with an adapter, which gets in between of your charger and their switch, so that it can make the things work. It you know Let me give you a technical example to understand this more. Like there are two files, okay? One is JSON, one is XML. One works in JSON type and other one works in XML type, okay? So the user gives input in JSON, but your functioning happens in XML. So you create a function that converts JSON to XML, and when you want to give output, you can give in XML, or if you want to give in JSON, then you create another function that converts XML to JSON. So those functions work as adapter. They make things work even though the input and output type is different. They connect things which are not same and compatible with each other. The next pattern is bridge pattern. Bridge pattern is it connects two things. One is how it works. Second is what something does. Okay, how it's done and what something does. It separates these two things, and the bridge is used to connect it. For example, you have a remote, okay? Remote, you can use a remote for TV to, you can use remote to change AC temperature to, you can use a remote to change the to decrease the volume of an audio system, right? These all are called remote controls, okay? Their functioning is different, but the thing is same, okay? How it's done and what something does, these two are separated and connected through bridge. This structure is called bridge structural pattern. Next one is composite pattern. So in composite pattern, what happens is it treats a single object and a group of object the same way. For example, uh, you go to any website, right? And then there is a menu. You click on any action, it it processes that action. But then there is also an option, when you click it expands, and then there you can see more options, okay? So the same thing happens, like you can work they they do the same thing, they do some process, okay? They are treated similarly. Like a single option is treated same way as the group of options. You click it, some process happens. Either new options are shown or a new page is opened. Okay. Another example is how a folder and a file on a computer are treated as the same thing. Like when you double click a file, it opens. When you double click a folder, it opens. You can click a file or a folder, click on delete button, it gets deleted. So one is an object, a single object, and another one is a group of objects, and they both are treated as equal. So to get that functionality, you use a composite structural pattern. Another one is decorator. In decorator, you add another functionality to an already working function. This happens at the runtime. You decide if you want to add another functionality, but you don't change the function which was already working. You use decorator to add another functionality without changing the code or the process of the function which was already working. For example, you order a burger, you get a regular burger, everyone gets the same regular burger. But you ask for another functionality, like can I get some extra cheese? So the decorator pattern is used there when you ask for another functionality. The original function doesn't change, but a plus one is added using decorator at the runtime. People who usually develop in Python must be aware about the decorators, and you must have worked with decorators. If you haven't, then why do you even exist? Now the next pattern is facade. Facade pattern is used to simplify a complex thing. For example, you live in a hotel, okay, and you want to order a food or call for the room service or housekeeping. What you do is just call on the reception and be like, hey, can you send me housekeeping, or hey, can you get me some room service? You call the reception, you don't directly contact with the housekeeping staff. Hey bro, can you clean my room? No, this is not how you do. So a receptionist is the guy, the person you want to contact with, not the complex structure like where do the staff reside, so that I can go and tell them please clean my room. So this is a facade structural pattern that you use to simplify the access of complex things. Now another pattern is flyweight. What happens in flyweight is that uh, when there are similar things in your program, like you're developing a game and there are many trees, so you won't create like tree from zero every time. Trees, if you look at any game, you will see that the design is same in tree, so they share the parts which are same in them, but they keep the properties like size and the location unique to themselves. The only thing that is same between them, like the color and the design, they share with each other so that the memory is optimized. The next pattern is next and the last pattern actually is proxy structural design pattern is like adding a middleman between two services. For example, if you want to meet a boss, you call their assistant, be like, hey, I am Jyoti, I want to meet the boss, and the assistant decides whether you are an authorized person to meet the boss or not. And the assistant be like, oh, this the Jyoti my boss has told me about, you're not authorized to meet him. And if Sangeeta calls, assistant be like, yeah, sure, come up. So the assistant acts as a middleman to give authority or anything. right? So proxy is used in that way. You don't get to access the main boss directly. You gotta go through the proxy. So this is what proxy is. I kept it very short because there were so many structural patterns, and I tried to make you understand with the analogy, like the way I learned. And if you will see the code, or maybe I'll make a video about code, if I do that, then you'll understand it way better why I was giving this analogy. And the names of the patterns only tell you what do they do. Like proxy. Don't you know what is proxy? You like proxy is, you know, have you heard about the proxy server? If you know about the proxy server, you must have gotten the idea about as soon as I said proxy structural pattern. And then there was decorator. If you know Python, you must have known what is decorator. And then there was facade, which is also kind of very predictable what it does. Adapter also. So the name only tells what do they do. And once you look at the code, it will be so damn easy to understand why are these patterns, and how are they used, and where they should be used. I also told you about where and how they should be used, like in decorator. If there is another functionality you want to add without changing the original function in the runtime, you gotta use decorator. So I told you everything about that, like when to use which. Now if I'll show you the code, you'll understand even better. So this video was only about analogy, and I hope you understood it. And